Today we're looking at how Infiswift technologies can leverage machine learning based irrigation control to conserve water and electricity in agricultural applications. What you're seeing on the screen is a comparison between two fields. Field number one has a conventional irrigation control system that's set to water for a set time period every day, and field two is leveraging a machine learning algorithm that takes into account the crop type, where you are in the crop cycle, how mature the plants are, and we're simulating some sensor inputs for ambient temperature, humidity, and soil moisture. And what we're going to look at is we can see the percentage of water needed compared to the conventional approach and how that can affect the amount of resources that are spent, both in terms of the actual water that's applied, and because you're applying less water in most cases, you're also saving electricity. So I started with the manual control valve off. I'm going to turn that on now. And you're going to notice that the rate of watering on the conventional field is going to be very constant, and it's going to take roughly about 15 seconds here. Because we know of the specific water needs in the machine learning controlled field, it takes less time to cover the field, and that's because we're actually applying less water. So depending on the irrigation technology that's employed, if it's a center pivot or linear rolling or even flood irrigation, we can simply spend less time and before we turn off the irrigation system. We have a simulated evaporation happening, and so you can see that once the field, when it reaches the top with the green color, that's simulating reaching the end of the irrigation cycle, both in the conventional side, which is just a time-based, we're not really paying attention to plant-specific water needs, or in the machine learning controlled field, it's reaching the point where the algorithm says we've applied enough water that we know that the plant is going to get everything that it needs to absorb to be healthy. So let's look at a few changes that we can make. First of all, earlier in the cycle, we're typically going to need more water than later in the cycle. So right now, our machine learning control system is only applying 82% of the water that would be applied just using a conventional controller. And if I accelerate this is going to simulate jumping ahead in the grow cycle, closer to the point of harvest. We can see that the potential for savings increases based on the characteristics of that particular crop. Likewise, if the ambient humidity changes, we can automatically adjust for that, and so that may go up or down based on that particular plant's needs. And then we have a range of temperature as well that can affect the amount of water needed for that particular plant. So if you imagine trying to store all this information all in a database, all of the possible permutations of not only different crop types and different geographical locations, but also all the possible ambient conditions, you can see why machine learning is a optimal approach, because we can start with knowing what the water absorption needs are of that plant and use that as the training data, so that the control system is always ready for whatever conditions it senses through the sensor network, feeding back into the algorithm. Note also that this is because this runs on the Infiswift Technologies IoT platform, it's very adaptable. We can leverage the platform to take in additional data points. If you had specific parameters, or you had maybe a specific economic value of water after you use a certain amount, we can add those additional dimensions very easily and very rapidly, because this is all platform based. The other thing that we can do is, when the field, when the irrigation is completed, you can see that the pump can automatically slow itself down in addition to just turning off altogether, and so you can get additional marginal energy savings. So we can very quickly look at your application, at specific technology that you already have in place, whether that's existing sensor networks or your existing irrigation control systems, and we can flexibly and rapidly integrate the Infiswift Technologies platform into that technology ecosystem, so that there's you don't have to replace the existing technology that you have. We just augment that, and the platform becomes the driving the decision maker, so that you end up spending less of your resources on water and energy, and you get the same or better result.